Katie Dana is a cicada expert, maybe the cicada expert with the Illinois Natural History Survey at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. 2024, the year of cicada. She's very excited.
I know she's very excited. This is going to be a big deal. This isn't just a million, a billion. This is several trillion cicadas are going to be in Illinois this year.
And right now, the mayor and the governor are trying to figure out where we're going to put them. Oh, that's a different story.
No,
Sorry.
Totally different story.
Can we call you Katie? Is that okay?
Oh, yeah. No, I actually sometimes like to call myself Dr. Cicady D.
Oh, look at you.
What a great handle.
How did you develop this interest in buzzy bugs?
So, I moved out here from California in 2011, and when I stepped out of the car in August, it was just like stepping onto an alien planet. The sounds were incredible. And since then, I've just become more and more and more in love with all the species we have in Illinois. So there's like 22 species of cicadas that we have, and each of them has a different song. So it's really just, I love the sounds that they make, the sounds of summer.
Now, this particular, well, first of all, how many cicadas are we expecting? Why so many? And this particular breed, they're called, is it the Pharaoh cicada?
Okay. So, so many questions.
Are you getting deep in cicada weeds?
So we have two different broods emerging in Illinois, and there's going to be, yes, a lot of cicadas. They are emerging in different parts of the state, and this is really special for Illinois. They're going to be everywhere. Now, some people from Chicago and northern Illinois may remember from 2007 when we had our last emergence. And if you experienced it really dense then, you're going to see about the same numbers probably this year. But yeah, we have two different broods emerging in the state, so it's a really rare occurrence, and Illinois is the place to be for.
Are they rival gangs? Are we going to have trouble?
Well, yeah, that's the question. What's going to happen in those areas where these two broods might meet each other? And I don't think they're going to fight. I think kind of the opposite. We might have some that are mating.
So, but then they create a super strain of cicadas that are as big as Shaquille O'Neal?
What's going to happen? I mean, it's like, they talk about hybrid vigor. If you know anything about genetics, maybe they will be giant.
Oh, it's not good. It's not good. Not good, people.
But,
what do we do? I mean, I think the normal reaction.
Well, Katie sounds like we should embrace the cicada.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they are not dangerous.
Okay.
You can you don't have to worry about that. They don't even have mouth parts that can bite. They have a straw for a mouth. So they'll poke you, if they think you're a tree or something. But they have a very bad survival strategy, right? They'll just fly on you if they think you're a tree. So it might be a little scary for some people, but they really can't hurt you. And, if your dog is out and eats some of them, they're not going to get sick unless they're eating dead cicadas, right? Like you want fresh cicadas to eat.
There you go.
Why does why do dogs like to eat cicadas? Because I had a fried cicada once, and frankly, it wasn't tasty.
Well, maybe you just need to prep it differently. I've got some fun ideas.
Oh.
I know.
John and Joliet wants to know if they're good fishing bait.
I've talked to a few fishermen over the years, and there's some that are really excited to try them out because, I think there are some baits that look a lot like them. Definitely fish love cicadas, and there's going to be no shortage of them. You don't need to go down to the bait store. You just
grab them from your yard.
From your trees. Katie, what are they good for, like soil and whatnot, and what are they
what purpose
bad
do they serve?
For? Plants?
Well, so what's great about this survival strategy of theirs is that there are so many of them that all of the predators will get completely full, like bursting at the seams, right? And so all sorts of animals eat them. We have snakes that eat them. We have lots of mammals, so squirrels will definitely eat them, possums, raccoons. There's also, lots of birds. So many insectivorous birds love these cicadas. So it's great for our environment in terms of feeding some of the, animals out there. But also, yes, when they die, they will create a giant stinky mess. And that mess will break down and fertilize your soil for you. So that's one of the great things that they do for the environment. I mean, I also like to think that they're kind of nice soil aerators, right? Like you'll see all of these holes all over, around your trees, pop it up. So it's a good way to kind of get some aeration. around your trees. And let's see, there's just so much. And, there are some people that are worried about their plants. And if you're really worried, if you have a plant that you really want to protect, I recommend covering it in mesh. But in general, they're not going to do too much damage.
There was a question earlier, I think, from somebody who texted in that wanted to know, number one, how deep do they usually, when they're emerging, how deep down are they in the soil? And then also, the population must have gone down over the decades here as, new construction comes in and what was once maybe virgin soil has been disrupted.
Oh, yeah. So it's funny because I thought, they'd be pretty far down. But some work from Chris Simon's lab has said that they're usually in the top foot of soil, so you can actually, find them pretty easily if you're digging up stuff. So, they're not too deep. And I've dug them up a few times. It's kind of fun trying to find them, predicting where they fell to the ground 17 years ago. But sorry, what was the other question?
And then how over the decades, as the Chicagoland areas expanded, obviously more and more of that soil's been disturbed, right? So, I mean, if we were talking 20 years ago, would the population have been twice what you're expecting this brood to be, or these broods?
It depends. There are some areas where we had incredibly dense cicadas in Illinois, like over 17 years ago, right? And yes, those populations have gone down. So we are seeing, some localized drop in numbers, but in general, like they seem to be doing pretty well in this region, and we'll see. That's why it's really important for people to report where they see these cicadas. And there's this wonderful app called Cicada Safari that people can download and be able to say, oh, I have a lot of cicadas right here. Because if you look at some of the maps online, there's some areas where we don't have much data. And it would be great for citizen scientists to get out there and be like, even in your own backyard, say, hey, I've got cicadas here. I don't see them on the map. Just so we know, right? I mean, this only happens every 17 years. So it's really important to get, some of that data logged.
Katie, I love your excitement. And I heard you say over the past few days that you're kind of planning your vacation. Is that right? About where the cicadas are so you can go and watch and study them.
Your family must really love you.
She's so cool.
When I have young kids, so, my oldest is 7, so they still do love it. Eventually, I'm sure they're going to grow to hate it. But for now, we've gone to, I think, 2021, we went to Indiana for Brood X emergence. I actually took them out a couple times trying to see some of the areas in Illinois where that brood was emerging. Actually, and the other one that we did was in 2020 in Chicago, which was this brood that's coming out, so brood 13. But sometimes the cicadas kind of get it off schedule. And so we went up to look and see where those cicadas might be coming out early. And that was a lot of fun. And then, we went out all the way to like Ohio and Pennsylvania in 2019. I went up to New York in 2018. It's just so much fun. And I've been doing this since, at least 2015 now.
All right, so cool. Katie, stick around. First off, we got to get you a hobby. And secondly, stick around because we got a couple more listener questions, and we'll come back. We'll let you go in just a couple minutes, but let's do this first. It's traffic update. And let me check with Foghorn Leghorn.
That's just damn preposterous, boy.
No, that wasn't Foghorn.
Close. The Kennedy, it's an hour 16. O'Hare into downtown. The Ike, Thorndale to the post office, an hour 26. Stevenson, 355 to the drive, an hour 5. Dan Ryan, 95th to downtown, 39 minutes there. Broken down car, right shoulder block, Bishop Ford inbound at 130th. Vehicle in a ditch, I-88 eastbound at Midwest Road. Next traffic update, 15 minutes.
All right, Katie Dana is the expert, and I mean the expert when it comes to cicadas. Illinois Natural History Survey of the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. You guys want to lock these phones up so I don't hang up on them? And we're
This
good?
is the most calls we've had all day.
Yeah. That's
Not about the fog, not about politics, but this is great.
That's right. Dave's in Crystal Lake. Katie can hear you. Go ahead, Dave.
Good morning. My concern is I'm a homeowner. I'm on a septic system and have a well. Is there any concern with these things getting into those systems or getting into electrical boxes? I guess as homeowners, do we have anything to worry about?
That's a good question. A little bit out of my expertise. Yes, there will be lots of them, and yes, they will be dying. Typically, where I see a lot of the dead individuals is just kind of along like curbs, and so I would make sure that we clear. Just add them to your compost pile as you see them. I'm not sure about septic systems, though. I'm sorry.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, Nick, your thoughts on that?
No, because the septic's, buried and the leach lines are buried. So I don't see that as being an issue at all.
And Nick, what was your question for Katie? Did you have another follow-up for Katie?
Oh, it's for the cicadas?
Yeah.
No,
because you're excited like she is.
Well, I mean, I grew up in Glenview, and the older parts of town, man, I remember 17 or whatever years ago. It was crazy.
Oh, yeah. You'd look in the bushes and you could see them.
Yeah.
Just they're everywhere. We did have a texter asking if you can, when they die and the shells kind of are, instead of stepping on them, because they're going to be on the sidewalk instead of, stepping on the shells, can you sweep them into the grass or use them as mulch, the shells?
Well, now, wait a minute. To piggyback on that, though, do they molt? Are these the same kind of...
So the molts are, so they are coming out of the ground. So in mid-May, you'll see them coming out of the ground, and you'll see a bunch of molts left over on trees.
Okay.
And that's just their exoskeleton. Then a couple weeks later, then you'll start to see some of the dead adults, right? And so the molts are really crunchy.
Yeah, they are.
You can crush them up into fine powder.
It's like a zombie horror film.
This is cool.
Yeah, and as long as you get your compost ratios right, I don't see why you couldn't compost it.
How many times, Jason, how many times do they shed, and how long does it take, the shedding process?
So I've watched them do it, and, magic cicada is pretty fast. It takes a couple hours for them to, actually fully emerge from their shell. But what you'll notice is they'll be really pale when they come out of their molts, and that's just because they are still hardening. Mm-hmm. And that's the best time to eat them is when they're nice and soft and squishy. It's also when they're most vulnerable, right? So there are certain snakes that wait for them, right, to come out of the ground and eat those nice squishy morsels. But then before they come out of the ground, they're actually molting as well. So they start out the size of like a grain of rice. And it takes 17 years for them to grow to the size that we see, which is pretty incredible.
And then they come out and then they attack.
They don't attack.
A serious question. If you have kids, little kids especially, but if you have kids or, maybe your wife or your husband or whoever gets freaked out by this stuff, what do you want to say to them?
That they really can't hurt you. They really can't. One of the ways that I've worked with my nephew on this is I've put, an insect into like a little, glass jar or something for him to be able to really get a good look at it. So that he can understand, right? It's really scary when sometimes you have these insects flying around you,
right.
And you just need to take a good look at them and realize how incredibly awesome they are.
And last thing, with the political differences we have and how crazy the world is this the biblical plague of locusts we've heard about?
Well, I take offense at the use of locust.
Sorry, Katie. Sorry. Don't sick the cicadas on me.
Wrong word.
All right. So if families want to learn more, kids want to learn more, you just want to learn more in general, where do you send them?
Oh, gosh. There's so many good resources online. The University of Connecticut has a great webpage on this. There's also a website called Cicada Mania, which has some fun news articles and also great audio. It has sounds and songs for all of the insects or all of the cicadas.
We're going to need you to come back.
It is pretty. Isn't it pretty sound?
Yeah.
It's the sounds of summer.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We're going to need you to come back, Katie, and tell us more as we get closer to the end of civilization as we know it.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
All right, Katie Dana.
Thank you, Katie.
A year
Thank you
of the
so much.
cicada, 2024.
Isn't she great?
Attack of the cicadas.